Oh my goodness. What a basketball game we all just got to witness. That was unbelievable. Oh my god. Like, there's the X's and O's talk, and then there's this, the crazy plays both of it. We got Wemby nearly logo threes. We got the constant wrestling match of Wemby and Caruso, or Wemby and J-Dub, where Wemby's showing off all of just the improvements he's made over the years to deal with just smaller guys all over him and back downs and pivots and covering so much ground with one step. And then we've got, he's trying to help off Caruso, and Caruso's having like the shooting game of his life. And then the Spurs doubles in the zone, and just Wemby, of course, bothering SGA. SGA, he got to a certain amount of points. But the process for him in this game, like when he finally got that drive on Wemby before we went into a double overtime, just craziness, where Wemby was higher up on it and Shea had an empty side of the floor and he actually got the 3-point play on, and it was like maybe SGA had finally solved this. But then later on you've got Harper getting into passing lanes on SGA, or Harper doing an amazing job of recognizing, like, well, Kayson's going to pass out of this because Wemby's waiting for him at the rim. So if I just rotate over to the corner here, like, I'm going to steal this pass that was meant for J-Dub or whoever the hell it was. It might have been AJ. AJ Mitchell was out there down the stretch of that game. And then we're watching like Castle and Harper like show these moments of just amazing clutchness and amazing like ready for the momentness. Is that English? Like, that drive where Harper got hit in the face twice by Caruso and SGA. But the play before, that one play kind of summed up several plays in this one where Wemby's rolling to the basket just draws in extra guys. Or like Castle had two huge skip passes, like one to Keldon, one to Vassell in the late third, early fourth off of this. That one where Harper drove on those two, like that was opened up from Wemby. But then you're also getting these moments where, Castle had a bunch of turnovers in this one, and there were several plays where he just overdrove into multiple Thunder guys, and he's just trying to save the possession, and it goes nowhere. But even still, he's just being a constant pest defensively, and there are so many questions and schematic things to try to get into between, like, should Chet just be on Wemby more often? I know like the Thunder are so dead set on this, like, we can put smaller guys on one guy and then we can just bother the hell out of you. But I'm pretty sure Chet had, one or two good possessions where he was the one who ended up on Wemby. One of them, J-Dub blocked him, and I think that was the one that got us into the second overtime, possibly the first overtime. I don't remember. But then as a helper, like, Chet blocked Wemby on one of them. But then on another time, Wemby managed to get the dunk off. Another time when Chet had to rotate from the corner. We've also seen that sometimes when Wemby has to help on Chet, or if the Thunder can get it in a certain way to where like Wemby is on Caruso, but SGA is driving away from Caruso, whether it's the opposite wing or top of the key, but just the other angle of the paint, that perhaps creates a little too much ground for Wemby to cover. Like, there's just so many things that both teams, like, they have success with for a play or two, but then they don't the next time you see it. The margins are so damn small here, man. And like SGA is going to shoot better, but he looked really bothered in this game. Now, I'm sure the stat line, I don't know where I was going with that. He was 7 for 23, 12 assists to 4 turnovers. Okay, let's start with this. The Spurs are clearly okay with loading up on SGA, whether it's we're going to load up on one side of the floor or we're just going to bring a double. One of those doubles late was really, really bad, where they did it way too early and Kayson got an open three. But for the most part, the timing on these is really good, whether it's Champagnie or Vassell or Castle or Harper who are picking him up initially on these possessions, or Carter Bryant for some stretches. Like, all that is happening. You still have the countless plays of just, I don't want to challenge Wemby at the rim. Like, we don't have to go through every single one of them, but there were just so many times of Kayson, J-Dub, SGA, somebody's driving and they're just passing it to somewhere, or they're dribbling underneath the basket because he's down there. We know what it is. And Caruso shooting as well as he did from three tonight was massive. And I'd have to go back and look at all of them. I don't think every single one was Wemby playing off of him, but a good amount of them were, especially early in the game. And then eventually Wemby was on Chet a little bit more often. And the Thunder, they took 45 threes, but we also went to double overtime, so the total numbers are going to be just a little whacked out today. But also, it should be said, like, while SGA did miss a good amount of regular SGA shots of, paint jumpers, step back twos over these guys, in general, it did just feel like he was a bit rushed, where he was like, well, this is the 1 millisecond that I've got to attack before either the really tall dude's waiting for me, or I'm going to get an extra defender, so I got to attack now. And for whatever reason, I just have this one, 16-footer on the left side of the paint miss over Champagnie in my head when I say that. But there were other versions of that. He did also bump Wemby out of the way on one, where he did get himself a little 13-footer or whatever. And J-Dub was able to get his drives off. It felt like in transition. It felt like against Cornets. I don't know off the top of my head how many of them were with Wemby in the game. But yeah, it's quite a challenge. And then throughout the game, we did see the Thunder start to figure out some things. Of course, there was the one when Wemby wanted to stay home on Chet when SGA tied it up going to Castle Lake. Then they got SGA going off the ball a little bit more with those 2 off-ball screens. That might be what they have to lean into a little bit more in this thing, because if SGA is just dribbling it up versus all of this pressure and Wemby being somewhere, it's going to be difficult to deal with. I mentioned one time SGA bumped Wemby like on a screen action when he went around at him. One time, I think Chet got a Gortat screen off on Wemby. I want to say J-Dub got a floater over him on one cut. I mean, of course, Caruso had that one layup in the first quarter, I believe, when Wemby just kind of got a little turned around when he wanted to stunt at the ball and then get back to Caruso for a layup. So you've got your moments here and there, but they're just tough to come by very often. And that's just going to be how this series is. I mean, look, Caruso, he was 8 for 14 from 3 tonight. That is amazing. I would not be surprised if the Spurs just said, okay, go do it again. Now, if you go look at Wemby on any possession, you will constantly see him pointing and saying, hey, you switch off because I'm trying to stay around the basket, right? One time, that led to a Caruso layup in, I want to say, the first overtime, because Caruso cut in the exact second that Wemby was looking off to the side a little bit. And then another time, the Spurs timed it perfectly to where it was like Wemby rotated down and then Champagnie closed out from somebody else onto Chet. And if they mess up the timing at all, Chet gets a wide open 3. So, I mean, the margins are so small with trying to keep Wemby in front of the basket, but this is so good, man. I mean, that was just an unbelievable game. I mean, how many minutes did iHeart play? He played 12 minutes, yeah. I mean, I remember in my series preview for this, I was trying to find minutes where Chet and iHeart were on the court at the same time as Wemby, and I couldn't really find many. The other possibility as well for SGA to deal with these doubles, look, to be clear, SGA could see the same exact defense the next game and just drop like 30-something points on way better efficiency. He's that good, right? But also, AJ Mitchell, just in general. Jared McCain also felt like a bit of a release valve in his minutes. I mean, he had 18 minutes, 7 points. And then one of the other things I was wondering about was, could Chet make the Spurs pay for kind of anything they want to do on defense? Now, he made a couple of threes, but he only had 8 points. And that one time where he was trying to take Harper off the dribble, and Harper just basically stonewalled him on the switch, that was a question I had for this series. Like, can Chet make the Spurs second guess? We don't really want to switch, whether it's Harper onto Chet. We don't want to switch like Champagnie or Vassell onto Chet. Or we don't want them to end up on him in transition just in the flow of the game. Well, in this one, Chet, he didn't score much. But yeah, obviously this game, I mean, a couple plays go OKC's way and they win this thing, of course. I mean, that was just, it was, how many times am I going to say that game was unbelievable? If you want something to fall back on, if you're OKC, they kind of dominated the Luke Cornett minutes. Now, the other side of that is, well, Fox didn't play. And Wemby, if you had questions about Wemby's minutes, he played 49 minutes in this one, and, well, I don't know, he seemed pretty up for it. And then I do want to talk about Dylan Harper some more, man, because a big thing going into this was, well, just the physical advantages, or perhaps the lack of physical disadvantages, if you will, for the Spurs guards against these OKC defenders. You really see it with Harper, man. I mean, he didn't make his threes tonight, but besides that, he just looks so physically ready for this game. I mean, whether it's picking up SGA on some of these plays where he's just pressuring him on the ball. I mentioned the defensive possession he had on Chet, battling for rebounds, just kind of driving through AJ Mitchell on a drive or two. Like, AJ Mitchell's not a small guy by his own right. A crazy game, just so many different themes that you can think of. And I mean, I'm just doing this in the heat of the moment, so there's more than what I can think of, but I guess the biggest question that I have after this game is, do we see Chet more often on Wemby? I know OKC, they really pride themselves on being switchable and kind of being able to put anybody anywhere defensively, but that's just what I'm asking myself right now. Mark Daignault, of course, knows way more about basketball than I could ever imagine knowing. But yeah, that was unbelievable. I mean, game one, honestly, it exceeded the hype.